into the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Yeah, I didn't see that coming, did you? Did you? Derrial, sound on the thing.
Yes, I knew that, yes. Yeah. The Genuine threw me off. I wasn't able to, concentrate.
I get it. Puts you in the mood.
I think it threw everybody off. Guys, this is AfterBuzz TV. This is the Walking Dead After Show. It's Sunday night. We had a character death. It feels like a death in the family. We're not actually in a playful, happy mood. We're actually more sad than that. But we just wanted to open on something to kind of surprise you guys. Keep it exciting. So this is the AfterBuzz TV Walking Dead After Show. I'm your host, Ben Bateman, joined by this panel of lovely and beautiful people, starting with Quinn Scillian, returning for the 3rd time on the panel.
Yay! Hi, guys. Happy to be here.
We have Mr. Simon Thompson.
Hello, imported Brit. Yeah. Awesome. I didn't have to come over especially just for this. I just want to. That would have been a really expensive. It's fine. If I hadn't said that, you would have thought I had. So I kind of ruined that.
Yeah. Next time we'll Skype you in.
But first time on the show, so please be gentle.
You may know Simon from Meet the Movie Press on Popcorn Talk.
Yes.
So welcome. And then we have Derrial Christon. We have our official social media correspondent, but this time sitting at the table.
That's right. I'm at the table. I am ready to go. I'm watching what you guys have to say, and I will be reporting it
How's
today.
my hair?
It looks good.
Awesome.
How's my hair?
It looks almost there.
Okay, awesome. I'll take that.
Almost as good, because you have almost as much.
Thank you.
John Carl and Joyce Sajuri are absent today, but they will be returning next week. We have just a few episodes left, guys. Only a couple. So this is the third to last. I think there's only 2 more, right?
It's 2 more.
Yeah.
It's a great second half, I must say.
Oh my God. Today's episode was so... Actually, these last 3 episodes have been like heart-poundingly good.
Yeah, they've been consistent. For sure.
So good. This is season 6, episode 14, Twice as Far, directed by Ulrich Riley. I think it's his first episode. He's credited with 2, so I think he has another one coming up. Maybe he's directing next week, or even the finale, perhaps.
I was wondering if we had a new director this episode, because we were taking a little bit of creative. We had some fun creative filmmaking kind of fun things at the beginning, kind of going back and going over. And I always think that that's kind of a nice little stamp of signature he was putting on his episode today.
Absolutely. The writer, Matthew Negrete, is a writer who he's worked on a couple primetime shows, but largely his background was in children's writing. Power Rangers, Kim Possible, Unfabulous. It's really funny. His whole first part of his career.
Amazing shows.
You know, he's going to present his resume now, and people are going to go, "Are you sure that's not a typo?"
Yeah, exactly. No,
I was not expecting you to say that as his credits, for sure.
It was like White Collar and another show, and then this. So like his only 3 credits in like the rooted in drama that aren't sort of like a little more kid friendly, which I thought was sort of funny.
I think he's found his niche.
Yeah, it was a good episode. So before we get into breaking the whole thing down, guys, remember to obviously rate, review on iTunes, comment on YouTube, follow on Twitter. You can find any one of us on Twitter if you want to follow along. I'm at Ben Bateman Media.
Oh, you can find me at Quinn Scillian.
I'm at Showbiz Simon on Twitter.
And you can find me at Derrial Christon.
And of course at AfterBuzz TV if you want to stay up to date on what's going on with everything. So let's get into the first Easter egg sort of thing they gave us. Rosita and Spencer. Who saw that coming?
I did not. But I knew she was going to end up with somebody else. I mean, clearly Abraham is not giving her much love as of late over his love over Sasha. So I knew she was going to need some loving from somebody. Didn't think it was going to be Spencer, though.
You didn't?
I did not.
Gosh, when I saw it, I was just like, yes, of course.
Of course.
I wasn't expecting it, but I certainly wasn't surprised.
If you were living in Walking Dead town and you were going to drown your sorrows by like throwing yourself at a man, which is...
I would let Spencer cook me that jerky stroganoff any day of the week.
I mean, not to say that I know that she threw herself at him. We didn't see that scene. I'm just assuming with the way they set the whole thing up with how disappointed with herself she looked, I'm assuming she sort of just did the I'm going to get back at Abraham and I feel so lonely and alone thing.
This is the first time, or do you think they've been hooking up?
They kind of suggested that they had been hooking up a few times, but I have the feeling the way it started was pretty clearly a rebound. What do you guys think?
I'm just wondering if jerky stroganoff is a euphemism.
Yeah, this is
that's very.
Hey, you want to try my jerky stroganoff?
I like that. That's a very relevant point. You know what? The way her character is, she's such a strong character, and she kind of plays it like a guy would play sort of a girl in one regard. So I feel that she was not on a rebound. I feel like she just needed some loving, and just that's what she was doing. And she had no remorse about it. And he almost was one who was after her afterwards and saying, "Hey, can we go to dinner? Can we do this?"
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's also nothing wrong with just wanting to have a little sex.
Just have a little fun.
That's totally fine. Maybe she's just, has this healthy sexual appetite.
Yeah, I'm not mad at her for it.
Nope, me neither.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely did not look pleased with herself as she was leaving. She had, like, the sigh and the walk out. And she, like, didn't really want to eat with him, clearly, right? So... No, I'm reading into this the wrong way.
I think that's the kind of thing where she was just kind of like, I don't know, we can call it a rebound or whatever, but like she was obviously wanting it to be very casual, and he obviously doesn't, and that makes things awkward.
Well, Haley Madison from the chat said, "Yep, it was absolutely a rebound."
Yeah. So I mean that's the way I thought they were saying.
It's not like there's a deep pool to pick from,
right?
Because it's kind of like it's not like you go to a bar, you go to a club. It's like you can have a pick of anybody there. It's like you got a choice of about 8, 9 guys.
And then you have to see them the next day.
Yeah,
true.
But the thing is that when she was talking, when they were walking with Denise later, she was just like, he's just another name on a very long list.
She did say that.
Do you guys think at this point with Spencer, I feel like the way they're setting Spencer's character up, he is as like cannon fodder for this show as it gets. Like he's just, they'll kill him eventually, and it will be in a kind of unceremonious, like, a character died tonight that we will get into a little bit later, but she was a character that we had been made to feel something for. She sort of mattered. Yeah. She was actually, even though she wasn't one of the core characters, she had become a character that mattered. I liked her. I felt like there was a general fan appreciation for her. I don't really feel like most people watching the show are going to really bat an eyelash if Spencer dies. Am I alone there?
But I also like when we first saw Rosita and Spencer in bed together, I was like, see, these are two minor characters who haven't really developed any. Even Rosita, I haven't really developed much of an emotional attachment to her either. So.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Spencer, kind of like what you're saying, Ben, I don't really have an emotional attachment to him. I definitely started to feel it more with Denise. I mean, she obviously is a part of the team. I think everyone kind of had that emotional connection with her within the group. So I was sad to see her go. I had a feeling she was going to go, just the way they were setting up her storyline and were drawing us in more with her during the show. But I didn't think it was going to be the way that she went out, You
see, I don't know if they're going to kill Spencer or if they're actually, because there's no one to offer resistance within their team right now. So I'm just wondering if they're not actually going to do what they're tending to do at the moment with a lot of the characters, is develop them and kill them. Yeah. They're actually going to create, he's going to be the new nemesis within the dynamic of the group. Could be. Because, there is kind
of
a
little bit of a protagonist.
Yeah, and there's no one there to do it right now. There's only Rick in charge.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, he definitely seems like he's, his ego is a little bit misplaced. He wants to be more important than he is. He wants to matter more than he does. So I could see that getting in the way. It's already kind of reared its head a little bit.
And also, if there's going to be this alpha male dynamic, someone else has to try and
that is true. That's
show
a good
some
point.
kind of leadership.
And he probably feels like he's like kind of the successor to his,
Yeah, I was going to say he's the only surviving member of his family, so to kill him as well. But then they did it. They've done it. In this season too, with that kill out the entire family. So
the Andersons,
R.I.P. So who knows?
I do think it is interesting though to kind of start, thinking about who is going to start offering resistance to the group, because I think one thing that the season is really starting to kind of question is, is this, are the choices that Rick and the group makes good decisions, or are they just as brutal as every other group they come across? So I think it's going to be really interesting to start seeing, like, kind of where those dynamic shifts come in and where the power struggle starts to come in. Yeah. So yeah, Spencer could definitely be part of that.
Well, because currently we have adversary A and like the saviors and impending Negan and the threat of Negan that they're teaching us to fear. But as far as like any other threat that we really have going on thus far, don't have anything else. And so I guess in that sense it is good to sort of plant those seeds. Let's jump over to Rosita, who I think Rosita's eventual suitor will be, which is Eugene, and his interaction with Abraham as they found this some sort of abandoned plant that he's going to make bullets, right? What is that place? Was that some sort of like I wasn't
like
really sure
a steel mill almost.
It must have been because the walker was covered in.
Yeah, he was covered with the metal. So yeah.
So they were definitely doing something in there.
Yeah. I thought that scene was pretty hilarious. Do you guys think Eugene's coming on a little strong? You think he's I'm a badass thing like a little too much? What do you think? You believe him?
Yeah, I mean, like kind of parallel with him and Denise, kind of these moments of cockiness or random pluck.
Well, sorry, go on.
No, good.
With both of them, I think they were characters desperately trying to find their feet.
Yes.
Definitely trying to find their purpose, because they have a role within the group, but they haven't really carved a niche. If the ship went down,
right,
right now there's no need to fight to keep them alive, and I think they're desperate to go, this is my offering, this is what I'm bringing to the table, because we haven't really seen that from either of those characters, aside from Denise becoming the Doctor, but that was really by default rather than choice.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, to me the episode was showing all three, even including Rosita with this, but showing that they all have an importance within the group and they're trying to show their importance. Like for example, when Rosita and Derrial were at that crossroad with the train tracks versus going a different direction, Rosita's way was clearly shorter than what Derrial had projected. So I think that they all are trying to show their strengths within the group and just really show that they have something to add to the group.
I think one of the most interesting things about this episode was that they tried to give us the parallel dynamic of Eugene asserting himself as some sort of alpha character, and he's been traditionally a weaker character. The same time Denise was trying to do it, right? So they were giving us the same story. And while Eugene couldn't kill the Walker himself and may have died had Abraham not stepped in, he ends up getting caught and getting captured, right? Where Denise is like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this thing myself. She gets the cooler, she kills the Walker, but she's the one that takes the arrow. She dies. It's kind of the brutal reality. It's like your little personal journey as a character on the show doesn't matter. The brutal reality of life is you just die.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Like the two characters who came away with kind of an injury, obviously a death is an injury. Denise and then Eugene ended up with, a little
graze.
Yeah, so I guess they kind of more parallels there.
I didn't see the Denise death coming. I actually and we'll discuss comic books up at the end of the episode in the spoiler section, but I did not expect it was going to be Denise, and I still am totally on the Eugene Rosita train. For the record, I see it coming a mile away. I've seen it coming since the beginning of the season. I think that is a relationship that we're going to have. Eugene and Rosita. That's the rebound.
I don't know if I want to see that relationship.
You don't think? You don't agree?
I don't know if I believe it, if I would believe it. So, but hey.
I think with Denise, though, I think the biggest shame was the fact that we were actually getting a lot of her backstory today.
Yeah.
Right. There was a lot of it, coming thick and fast, to be honest with you, because we haven't heard anything about her brother. And we heard about that when they were in the car.
Yep.
And then obviously there was, talking about the dynamics, and then her parents, who you can only assume from what she was saying was some kind of alcohol involved there. And it was just really starting to build up. And then she died.
Right.
And I just kind of thought it would have been a little bit nicer to see some of that coming out beforehand, because once that started coming out, I think Darryl saw her in a very different way.
Right.
Rather than just being a caregiver, as something as a victim who actually wanted to come through and really change that dynamic and be a key part of the unit in a completely different way.
Who steps into the doctor role now?
That's going to be interesting.
Hilltop has the OBGYN, right?
Yeah,
they do.
Hilltop has at least one doctor.
So there's at least one person we know with
something. Yeah. But within Alexandria, we don't have another doctor. I mean, in the chat, if anybody comes to mind that you guys can throw out at us, nobody comes to mind for me.
No, me neither.
No. But Peter L. does say that he does not think Eugene is Rosita's type. So Ben,
I'm calling it. Like I'm just gonna keep harping on that one. Okay, so Abraham and his love for Sasha, which the episode ended with him professing his love to her. And
which still to me feels like it really just came out of nowhere.
Feels forced?
It does seem a little forced.
A little. And maybe, maybe it didn't come out of nowhere. Maybe I just don't think they have a lot of chemistry, and that could be it too. Because,
it's a little awkward.
Because it may be, I don't know if this is like subjective or not. But
well, I feel like they bonded on the baggage. You know what I mean? They both have this extreme baggage of what's happened to them previously, and I feel like that's where they're kind of connecting. But I still don't necessarily buy the relationship completely.
I don't know whether it's just because of the way the characters are, the way it's written, but I think they're both just very guarded individuals, because I think when they open up a lot. And I think they're both a little bit kind of like, well, if I start to care about you, which is part of the thing with Carol, if I start to care about you and something goes wrong, do I want to put myself in that position? So I think I don't know if it's a chemistry thing, might be, or it could just be the fact that they don't want to open up in this way and make themselves perhaps vulnerable and take their eye off the ball.
Yeah, so maybe now that they have decided to kind of go for it, maybe it'll all start to believe it a little bit more, if they're going to be like more open with each other, then we get to see that and it will make more sense.
It is the dissolution of Rosita and Rosita and Abraham, and then this sort of like Abraham having eyes for someone else in the camp. That's a story that does come from the source material, but it's very, very minor. And the character, there is no Sasha in the comics, so that story happens sort of under your nose, but you don't know, in the way that we know Sasha, you don't know that character in the comics really that way.
Interesting for us to have so much like melodrama.
Yeah, totally.
Romantic drama on the show, because usually we get like maybe a blurb of it a season, we don't really spend too much time harping on. But I think that's, I wanted to get into this. That's kind of where we are now, where we are no longer surviving a zombie apocalypse as much as trying to start a new life in this world.
Right.
And so maybe that's why more relationships are coming out.
And at the moment, that's depending on Maggie and Glenn.
Yeah.
You know, it's really very much they're the only ones having a child. So really the responsibility right now is there, and I think they're all feeling that along with the duties of perhaps, you know, killing walkers and creating whatever they need to within the group, they are feeling the need to repopulate now.
Yeah.
Everybody gets horny.
Yeah.
Everybody gets horny, yes they do.
Even if there are zombies around. I ain't no Tinder.
So it's a good thing we chose Genuine Sony as our intro song.
I think the MVP line of the episode is in the conversation between Eugene and Abraham, where he says, "You're spitting game," and he says, "If you don't spit game, you are game." Right? That was a good line.
That was a good line.
Impression.
Yeah. I think my favorite though was the line to Eugene saying, "You know how to bite a dick from Eugene."
Yeah.
I mean bite Abraham
no
to Eugene.
disrespect. No disrespect.
And I mean that with no disrespect. That
We'll
was probably that might have been my favorite line.
biting.
Yeah. That might
We'll
have
get
been
to
my
the
favorite
dick
line.
biting.
I think the dick biting is we have like two focal points.
I really want to talk about all of the ins and outs of the dick biting. I really feel like we have to really
logistically.
Yeah.
They probably talked about it on Talking Dead. We just didn't get to watch
Yeah,
it.
probably.
I think Dick Biting is a good name for a new character, to be honest with you.
Dick biting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Richard biting.
Yeah.
Dick.
But maybe you spell it like BIDING, so that like on
Biting.
paper it's not as obvious, but when you say it out loud, it's like, oh, IP freely.
It's pronounced
I get it,
Bating.
Yeah, right.
Bidding? No, it's biting.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's jump over to the tragic death of Denise.
So sad.
Yeah,
She was really becoming one of my faves, you guys.
yeah,
Really?
Merritt Weaver.
Oh, 100%. Love the acting. Love this character. So sympathetic. And the fact that I loved her so much before I even had any backstory about her just goes to show how
says
well
a lot.
written she was.
Yeah.
So three-dimensional. I'm so sad to see her go.
Merritt Weaver's a great actress. She's actually, I don't know if this was her breakout role, but the first thing I ever saw her in was in a movie from 2007 called Michael Clayton. And it was the George Clooney movie.
Yeah.
And she's got a small role in that movie, but a relevant role. And she's very good in it. And I couldn't remember for the life of me when she was in this what I remembered her from. And it turned out it was that, because I've seen that movie like 10 times. But
You've seen Michael Clayton 10 times?
it's like one of my favorite movies. Like
Sick.
huge fan of that movie. But she was fantastic, and it's very sad to see her go. It's interesting. There's a sort of a trope in television of dead lesbians. This is like a thing that there's articles written about this, and I've actually become increasingly aware of this recently because of The 100, which is another show that I cover, and there's a lesbian character on that show who was recently killed in a very sort of like just nonchalant way. And so it's interesting having read those articles and watching this. It's just such like a, why would it be her? You know what I mean? We have how many gay characters on this show, right? And how many of them, like, she finally...
3?
Right, exactly. So it's like, it's one of those things
4?
that... Not to say that I'm taking a strong stance on this, but it is interesting actually having knowledge of that there is sort of this bias. There's
Is that like a male writer, like, misogyny kind of thing? Where, I mean, where does that come from?
I think it's like a sort of tragic trope in television writing, apparently. So if you were to look this up,
I want to.
Yeah, I'll share an article with you.
Yeah.
And if anybody in the chat who's watching or listening knows what I'm talking about, feel free to shoot a link out or tweet at us about it.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting with Denise's character, by the fact that obviously, you know, recently we realised her sexuality, but it wasn't an overriding factor for her. It wasn't something within the character that really defined her. No. She wasn't a lesbian first and then doing what she did.
Yeah, because we didn't know for a long time.
No, it just happened, and it didn't really change her dynamic within the group.
One
and
of my
nobody
favorite
treated her
romantic relationships for sure.
Yeah.
That was. I mean, did that feel? I mean, it felt so real to me.
Yeah.
Well, the show's never really made a big thing of character sexuality at all.
No,
you know, it's never really been something that's brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if you were going to choose one of the characters and one of the character relationships to sort of reveal to us like that, their relationship was definitely surprising and refreshing in a lot of ways. Like you said, she wasn't defined by her sexuality, which I think made her a great character.
But also, like, we're living in a post, you know, we don't have a lot of the societal kind of like taboos that we deal with. Like, you know, when it all falls away, who cares?
I also wonder though why her, like, not from her sexuality standpoint, but from the point of view of her being a doctor. They had developed her character really well. I'm wondering, like, this is obviously to further the story and probably push us to have to go, I'm guessing, to Hilltop because we don't have a doctor anymore. So moving people over or something like that. But I'm a little curious what the plotting device there is to get rid of the doctor. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, honestly, I think it's to kind of shake it up and cause a little bit of fear within the group, because then it's like, you know, what are you going to do when all these people are injured or whatever it happens? You know, she had really started to learn her craft.
Right.
So I think it's to cause a little shake up within the group and fear.
Yeah, and also like, you know, I think a big criticism is sometimes our group feels really immortal.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes I think just like from a writing standpoint, you have to remind the audience that anyone can go at
anyone
any
can
time.
go, and we know that a lot for this show as well.
And I think there's also an element in this now is the fact that we're seeing a slight change in the roles as well, because it's always been the men are the strong ones doing the fighting predominantly, some strong female doing that, but it tends to be the women are predominantly, as strong as they are, still remaining the caregivers or the organisers and the utilisers. And so I think we're perhaps going to see a shift where some of the guys have to think less about being active and killing and more about the taking care of the after effects rather than being, you know, the action to a reaction.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I wonder. Well, I did love actually the shot when she takes the arrow through the back of the head.
Yeah,
and the way she gets one
talking.
more word out.
Yeah. Oh my God, y'all.
Yeah. It's like the nerve system had not physically like affected her quite yet.
It was shocking. Yeah,
I almost thought, I was wondering if it was going to be a dream sequence for a second, like just kind of the way they kind of shot it, and then they went to the commercial break, and then they showed that part. You know, it was kind of crazy. You know, it was like I was really thinking like maybe.
Oh yeah, because they did this thing where it was like, want to see how we did this effect?
I know, they do that every week now.
And it freaked me out for a second. I was like, wait, they're gonna make us watch this? Because I didn't realize we were still
that's what I thought they were doing. Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of brutal, but okay.
I think for me the most shocking part of it, aside from the fact that I bloody love Denise, was the fact that it was Darryl's crossbow.
Yeah.
And I think because Derrial had obviously, you know, he's found a lot of respect for her as a character, and obviously we saw earlier in the episode where, you know, she was telling him how to drive a stick.
Right.
And also he did decide to like take the railroad or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And he was just kind of going, okay, in my eyes, you're actually going to become an equal. You're earning your position, and it was actually something. It was because of a mistake that he'd made several episodes ago that she died. Because
or
if he hadn't,
choice that he made, because this episode was all about choices.
And because of that, she's now dead.
Mm-hmm. Did anyone else have a problem with Derrial actually taking that truck? And I was thinking, if he doesn't know how to drive a stick fully, I'm sure there are other vehicles there that he could have taken.
I thought it was weird that Derrial didn't know how to drive a stick.
Yeah.
Bike riding Derrial,
that whole scene just kind of disturbed me a little bit, because I'm thinking, okay, there's got to be other vehicles that he can get to, because why would you want to take a vehicle that you really can't operate that well when you know you need to get to this location, get back, make sure there's no walkers around, you know, and not put yourself in jeopardy. So.
Didn't they like leave that Charger a couple episodes ago? Shouldn't have left it.
Yeah, I had a bigger problem actually with them agreeing to take Denise out in the first place. I thought that was really foolish. Like I think they're smarter than that. I don't think she has no combat training, or the training she does have is like very small within Alexandria. Why put a third person out there? I mean, if you're going to take all the drugs anyway, and you told you like we can go for you. That was one of those things where when it was happening, I was just like, these characters are smarter than this. This is to put her in harm's way for something interesting to happen for plotting.
But she kind of convinced them, you know?
Yeah, but that doesn't... I mean, look, if you were in that situation, would you let yourself be convinced? I would just be like, no. You're going to be a liability, and you're important, you're a doctor. Why do you want to go out there and risk getting killed?
I can only assume that it's because that she would know what meds to bring back. Because if I went to a
but they did
pharmacy,
they chose everything.
I wouldn't know what the hell to pick. You
right,
know, I could be
they
bringing
needed
back,
her.
You know,
yeah. But they were going to take everything anyway, because when they were there, Denise was standing behind the counter, and she asked him, hey, do you need my help? And Derrial basically says, no, we're just going to grab it all anyway.
Why did she gag when they first walked into the drugstore? Because it smelled bad, or
that's what I was thinking.
I'm thinking it's the smell, because when she goes and sees the walker, eventually we see how gutted out the walker was. So I'm thinking it was the smell.
Just smelled bad. Okay.
Yeah, and then she rounds the corner and finds herself in that room.
And I saw the crib, you guys.
Oh my! I know.
I saw the crib and I was like, I don't know. This is gonna be like some train spotting shit. I don't know if I can handle it.
Yeah, I was like, are we really gonna? Because they showed us a walking kid.
Yeah,
that's what Sam saw before he gets his face eaten.
But the very first episode, we had a kid walker.
A kid walking.
Yeah, a kid walker. Yeah.
But like, we don't see the kids as much. We haven't seen a zombie or walker baby, right?
No.
No.
And I was curious if they were going to show it to us tonight. Yeah. I
thought they might show us tonight, especially the way they set up that scene where we saw the pictures of the kid first, and then you go in there and we see the baby shoe and the blood. I thought we might see a kid tonight.
I thought this was one of my more scary episodes. Like I had a couple jumps and a couple like these, and I haven't had that in a really long time, so I was really enjoying it.
The baby shoe moment was pretty startling. That was definitely pretty creepy. This show, it's funny. This show actually strays away from traditional horror like a lot. Even though it's a zombie show, it doesn't
It's still primetime TV, though, you know?
Well, they don't play on a lot of, like, the horror movie sort of, that, like, sort of creeping feeling of dread in your stomach. They stay away from a lot of that stuff. So it's funny, like, that scene with her finding the baby shoe is straight from, like, a scary movie. Like, something you would go see.
But isn't it more scary when you really don't see it versus when you see it? Because your imagination 100%. Can go so many places, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just like Negan. Like, why Negan is such a threat right now is because we haven't seen him yet.
Really quick, Ben, Titan Rainbow said, you were asking about that article. Titan Rainbow said that the title's called All 145 Dead Lesbian and Bisexual Characters on TV and How They Died. He couldn't send the link, but that is the title.
That sounds like a list. It's not really an article.
Well, there's a lot of
he says send a link, but this is the title of it. So
if Quinn was interested, so I read a ton of stuff about this week. Feel free to tag either or both of us on Twitter and just share the link. So you can read it afterwards because it'll get lost in the chat. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit about Dwight and Eugene biting his dick.
I'm just really impressed with the aim because it could have really backfired. He could have just gotten a mouthful of jeans.
Very true.
Or a nut.
Or, actually, that would have worked.
Well, we don't really know actually what he got. He may have gotten a mouthful of denim. I mean, really.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just wondering, I'm thinking...
Not by that reaction. He didn't get a mouthful of denim.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking, maybe he looked for, a bulge or something and just aimed there.
I mean, look.
Maybe the pants were tight and he could see really well the outline.
I'm gonna just say
he was close, and he was looking that direction because he was looking. Yeah, he was close. Abraham, so he was looking that direction.
It's a sensitive area. If somebody locks their mouth outside of your pants, and they even let's just say they
could have been a ball
outside of anything, even like a pinch on the side of anything, is gonna hurt like the dickens. So I mean, that to me is like he did his job. Now, when he gave up,
but I feel like the pants did have to be relatively tight, so you could just see.
Or you have a general sense of where the ball area is. We're saying he ate a dick, but he could have.
Yeah, it could have been a ball.
It could have been a ball.
Yeah,
easily could have been a ball. Easily could have been a ball.
Did you guys, when he's like, my friend is back there in the bushes, and then later he defended himself? Why? Why didn't he just point to the other direction or not reveal this?
A squirrel.
Well, what I was wondering if maybe he saw Abraham actually leave from behind the cans.
Mm-hmm. So he knew for sure that was a safe way to go.
So that's what I was thinking. Because I was really pissed off at him to think that he even.
I know. I think all of you guys were like, he did not just do that.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I didn't see it. I don't know. Eugene, I just haven't really figured out yet. He wants to be more of a badass. He's trying to get there. He's still a pretty big sissy, but he's trying. He's trying, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
That fight was pretty sweet. Were you guys a little surprised though that nobody on our side took a bullet or even got? I mean, I guess Eugene did. He got grazed.
He got grazed. We're gonna suspend it to television.
Yeah,
right. I don't know. I think that someone would have got shot. Even a couple of the other people just on the other side, I think, would have got shot quicker than what they showed today. But
I know. We've got Rosita with the fucking.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah. So we have. By8022 says, bottom line, writers see lesbian characters as disposable. It's most likely not even intentional, but it's still a thing.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to kind of aim at when we were talking about it before.
Yeah. So there's a link just got tweeted.
Okay.
So Dwight came back. This is the second time we've seen him. I like Dwight a lot. I actually like this guy's delivery, and I like this character a lot. He's
like a really ugly Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, he's got some of the same things going on. No disrespect from the
I want him to die just because he has a bad shot. Because he clearly was trying to get Derrial, as he mentioned, but he took out our girl. So I want him to go down.
But Derrial got his bike and his crossbow back.
He did.
What a good day.
He did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like the shittiest Christmas ever.
Anybody who's watching and listening that knows any context of Dwight or anything like that based on the comic books, we will cover any of that stuff at the end of the episode. So we're just going to talk about it strictly from the point of view of the show. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think about the burns on his face? He was totally clean and normal, but the last time we saw him.
Yeah, they made a lot of made a big deal about that.
His whole face was burned. Yeah. How do you guys, any ideas? What do you think? Do you think he has to do the burn for us?
You see, I don't know. I think because it's actually quite ambiguous in the way that it's being delivered.
Right.
I think there might be room for a flashback in an episode to kind of go into that a little bit more, because I don't think we've seen everything that's gone on. There tends to be something in the series at the moment, in this season especially, where there's a lot of throwbacks and a lot of backfilling. And there's, just when you don't expect it, And I think there might be an element of that.
Well, a lot of people in the chat are saying that it's going to go back to Negan with this particular thing.
Yeah, I mean, there is.
They're saying Negan burned his face.
We only have 2 episodes left, so when you think about it, we do kind of have to start tying up some loose ends. So that would probably be a pretty clean way to kind of introduce him. And
we will definitely find out.
Explain some stuff. Oh yeah.
But they didn't give us. I don't think that on screen yet they've given us any information, because the people talking about coming back to Negan one. That's source material stuff. So
okay. So moving on.
Yeah, but so anyway, the fight goes down, and Dwight is sort of the new villain. Now, did they ever identify themselves in the episode as being part of the Saviors, or we're just assuming, right?
The Saviors were referenced, but not in direct relation to them.
Denise referenced them. She was talking about the Saviors. But I mean, Dwight and his team, they had the same feeling as the Saviors that we've seen so far. But I guess we still don't know if he's part of that team, right? As far as the show goes.
It would also, if he's not, it would be the first time that there's been 2 rival groups that Rick and everybody are having to face off, because it's always been one-on-one.
Right.
You know, whether it's the governor or whoever else, it's always been, one group against another. We've not seen a case yet where there's more than one foe.
Which would be a really interesting twist, too.
I would
great dynamic, because they'd have to team up with one of the 2.
Right.
To be able to defeat the others, and there's a lot of small debilitated groups that need to really boost their numbers at the moment.
Right.
So I think that could be something that we see in the next, if not this season, then maybe start of next.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I couldn't believe that with just a couple weapons they were able to chase off that big group of guys with huge guns. It was very surprising to me.
But also, we have had the issue raised of the fact that they're not heavy. In the artillery at the moment, they are needing bullets. That's why Eugene is suggesting that. So I think there is an element of let's only take shots and stuff when we actually need to, rather than just going willy-nilly. And because obviously they've moved away from shooting walkers now as well, aside from the noise thing, to really doing more hand-on-hand, close-level combat.
Yeah. I also think that we are kind of, with Morgan and with Carol and with all of this, we are kind of moving away from this just kill everybody mentality. Yeah. We are, with the, he built the little prison down there, and we are doing less killing, I think, or we're on the way.
We're on the way.
The only Morgan scene we got tonight was with Rick. Well, aside from him essentially rehearsing with his bow, with his bow staff, we see him finish his prison that he's managed to build in secret, apparently. And Rick says, "Why?" And he says, "So we have more choices next time."
Choices, yeah. I was still disturbed by that scene, because it just reminded me. I'm like, why is Morgan always in a cage or a some type of prison-ish type of scene? This is the second time we've seen that, but I get it why they're doing it, but it just I feel like that's where his character always ends up falling into.
Well, so you talked about the adversaries within Alexandria. He's the clear, obvious one who's caused problems. And I'm wondering how they're going to deal with him, and also what the significance of the cage is. What I really want to understand, what I don't understand, is why Rick is just like, look, Morgan, this is the deal. It's really simple. You're causing problems because you're too weak to do what needs to be done, and it's getting people killed. So the next time you do that, I'm going to shoot you in the head. You should leave the city if you're not going to be able to stick with that, because that's it. You're going to get people killed, and the next time you try, I'm just going to kill you. I don't have patience for this, for you trying to cage people up and hit people with your bow staff. That's just not the way the world is, and what are you doing here if that's the case?
And there's a lot more tension between the 2 of them building more and more and more, and it's becoming less passive and less just a disagreement on principles of how you defend people, and it's becoming a little bit more, I see him now, Rick feels that he's putting his own people at risk.
Totally.
I again, though, kind of getting away from, we're not just surviving, now we actually want to live here. There does have to be, even though you guys know how I felt about the Morgan episode, there does have to be, in every country in the world, no matter what style of government they have, you can't just kill people.
Right.
So there does have to be a little bit more of a law about, if we're going to start moving towards building a society, you can't just kill people.
And we saw more of that at the end of the last season.
Yes, absolutely.
It was very much a case of Rick going, we have to have some sort of, organisation, we have to have some sort of order, we have to have some sort of hierarchy. And that just instantly dissolved. That didn't work, and it went a little bit chaotic. You do need to bring that back, I think. And it will bring stability to the group, and I think to the dynamic of the show.
But also, I also want to say, I don't have any emotional attachment to Morgan either. So
no, they've done a great job of making Morgan the least likable character in the entire show, which really is, he's your classic love to hate character, because Whereas like Spencer is not likable. Spencer's also irrelevant. Morgan's like a very important character, and he morally stands on the side of an issue that makes his decisions as a character important to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Now they won't work. Like ultimately, like they can't work in the context of the way the world works now. So you wonder, how is he going to be dealt with? And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm not saying it's Rick should do that. That's correct. What I'm saying is I'm surprised he hasn't. Rick is willing to rip your neck out with his teeth. He's willing to just. Yeah. Say to the guy, I'm sorry it came to this, and shoot the guy in the head. Like, they don't take prisoners. So if you're going to cause problems and you're going to cause risk for the group, then you don't belong there. Straight up. Rick knows that. So that's why I'm very surprised with the way he's handling Morgan.
Well, I think he feels like he owes him, you know.
Still, from saving his life, yeah.
I think there's the same with Morgan, and also totally blanked on the character name, the priest at the moment.
Gabriel.
Two of the biggest liabilities within the group right now.
Yeah.
You were talking about not being convinced by Eugene. I'm really not convinced by Gabriel.
Got it.
You know, I see him and Morgan possibly either them coming and facing each other off, which is where I think they're going to. Either of them is going to gain the trust of Rick again, or
you think
something's going to happen.
Gabriel and Eugene are going to.
I wouldn't let Gabriel run an errand, let alone anything else. He's completely.
No. He's a sap.
He's just he could just go either way. You just don't know what's happening.
I mean, he is known to not have been one of my favorite characters on the show, but I do feel like he's making an effort to change his persona within the group, more so even than Morgan to me.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, didn't Gabriel take Judith like during the whole maelstrom of leaving the when there was all the death was going on?
Yeah.
And he came out the other side. Baby's still alive. Doing things right.
Yeah, I just think he's going to have to choose between the people on Earth and his religious beliefs, which he's obviously managed to put aside at the moment, but I'm wondering if there is going to be that crux point again.
Yeah, right. I also remember them, he kind of, maybe an episode or two ago, when they were like, why are you still wearing that? He's like, you can't see me in the dark.
Right.
Or something like that.
Reminds me of who I used to be. I'm still that person, or something like that.
Person. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Carol and Tobin. We got a Carol and Tobin kiss, and then we got Carol's letter that she's leaving Alexandria.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is up with all the cigarettes? What are we supposed to take away from? And when she was being held captive by Paula, whatever her name was last episode.
Yeah. Right.
What is with all the cigarettes? Like, what is going on?
I don't know. I mean, it's stressful, I guess. Maybe that's how she's dealing with her stress.
If you guys think that there's any other kind of significance,
please let us know in the chat.
Leave a comment, because I'm really curious.
Yeah, I don't really know what to think about that. I do know that I don't know what Carol's thinking as far as leaving goes. I understand her letter was pretty clear. I'm going to have to kill for you if I stay. I can't do that anymore. I love you all, but I have to be on my own. Don't come after me. What does she really think is going to happen? You can't live by yourself.
It feels like suicide. She might as well just... I don't know.
Well, I also didn't understand that so much, especially after the last episode where we saw her protecting Maggie in such a detailed, specific way, you know, and I felt as if she would want to take this time to kind of ride it out there and just really be with the group and protect people, because that's the way she had perceived herself last episode. So this one threw me for a whammy. I didn't see this one coming at all.
Also, I feel like maybe we didn't get as much build up to this as I would have liked. Like, I think maybe we got maybe 2 episodes where she was starting to count all the people she's killed and stuff.
Right.
But before then, I think I really hadn't seen much of her wavering. I would have liked maybe a little more, just a little more.
Well, I think her point is that if I stay here, I'll have to kill for you. The point is she's saying I can't have anyone around me that I care about because I'm not capable of protecting them. I don't feel I can do what's necessary anymore, and I don't want to become attached so that I have to. Like, that's what she's saying. And I guess living by yourself in nature or whatever she's going to be is easier if you don't have to take care of anybody or only taking care of yourself. So I get that, but
she's going Walden.
Is it the possibility that she doesn't actually like the Carol that she's having to become?
Yeah. Would you? I mean, no. 22, 23 people killed?
And I think this is a reset for her, which where obviously Rick had cast her out previously and she was kind of out on her own, and she managed to get herself together, know exactly where she was mentally, know exactly where she was within any hierarchy. And I'm just wondering if that is her it's like her vacation to Cabo, just with lots of walkers.
Do you guys feel like we're kind of having like an idea, like a Carol and Morgan ideology versus like the Shane ideology that was like the beginning? Do you know what I mean?
A little bit of that, and back then Shane was so black and white, but I mean now everybody's so developed.
We're in such a gray area at this point, but I just kind of feel like that's kind of what we are. That's what our characters are starting to struggle against.
Well, it's funny because Carol's been on sort of both sides of that coin,
Truly.
but she's definitely come around to killing more. I think also her realization when Derrial came back and she had asked him about the people in the burnt forest and did you save them, and he said yes, to find out that the guy who he had saved, who stole his crossbow, killed Denise, went after him, was just like, you should have just murdered all of them.
Yeah.
Because that's the way the world works, is that if you don't protect yourself, it comes back to get you. And that's the craziest thing, is that like, if you need to be a pacifist and you're around people you love, you're in Carol's situation. What are you going to do? You have to leave. You can't be around people you love. Otherwise, you have to realize that they're going to die, or you're going to have to kill to protect them.
According to Lita Rivera, she said Carol's tired of killing, and that's one of the main reasons that she left.
Definitely. I mean, they burned those 2 people alive last week. That was a crazy, crazy, crazy moment. You know? And that's just to protect themselves.
Speaking of burning alive, which is a huge kind of switch from the prison when she killed those 2 people that I can't remember their names.
Yeah, it was like David and Sarah or something like that.
So that's
a long time ago.
That's a big 180.
Yeah.
And Freshly Snipe says the cigarettes is a symbol for her self-destruction.
Sure. I appreciate that, actually.
Is it a possibility where what she's doing is leaving the group, she's finding herself, but because she, obviously everybody within that group knows what she's done, they know her history, they know her heritage, they know her kills, she goes to a different group to try and re-establish her position within that group. She doesn't have any of the baggage, completely new people. She can find a different role, contribute in a completely different way.
That's still a facade. I mean, that's a band-aid of a fix, you know?
It's not who she is, even though we can clearly see that she can morph herself into any type of person.
Yeah.
But,
and it's the Walking Dead equivalent of moving to a different city. If you need to, you need to do that.
The names were David and Karen. That
thank you, David and Karen.
David and Karen.
So I think that, like, you know, with Carol, she, for so long, we've really lauded her ability to kind of, like, you know, play the innocent or play the naive person, and she's tired of it. Like, she wants to become that person that she's been pretending to be maliciously. Like, she's been pretending to be that person to, like, you know, to confuse other people, you know, to use her own advantage, and now she actually wants to be that person.
Well, she's definitely going to be, I mean, she's definitely going to be, she's not leaving the show. It's like, and they're not writing Carol out.
She's too popular for a start.
On Saturday at PaleyFest, I was actually able to talk to Gail Ann Hurd, who's the producer and I think an EP of both this show and Fear the Walking Dead. And I was able to ask her a little bit about Carol, just like in general. When you sort of plotted the show out in the first place, did you imagine that Carol was going to become this character that she became, or was this sort of like the gradual transition? You didn't have this in mind from the beginning. She told me that Carol really broke through in the 3rd or 4th season. We were really lucky to have the fans stick with a character so completely to be able to you know, have this transition and give us the payoff that we've gotten. And I think they know that, they respect how important she is as a character. She's such an important character to the show. So her leaving has to be a plot device to get us in probably a perilous situation where maybe another character bites it to save her, but she will come back. I can't imagine she's gonna be gone forever.
Really quick, Carol is not like a big character in the comics, correct?
Yeah, so actually, just this is perfect timing. Let's go spoiler alert right now. That way we can talk comic book stuff, because it's the end of the episode.
Spoiler alert!
There it is.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
So 5, 4, 3, get out of here if you don't want to hear spoilers, guys. 2, 1. All right. Yeah, so Carol in the comics, she does not exist like this. Carol in the comics is actually, there is a Carol, but she's the mother of Sophia, who I think maybe that's the name of the kid that's in the barn that dies in the 2nd season. But what ends up happening is that she dies fairly early on. So at this point in the story, there is no character in the comic books that is the Carol we have now.
Because I think it's interesting how Carol is a character that isn't in the comic books and has become, you know, obviously like so beloved. Whereas like Derrial is a character that's also not really in the comics. And I think that I'm this is a question for you guys. Do you think it's been hard for them to find a real place for Derrial because they don't have a template for him?
Well, definitely. I mean, you've seen such a movement the last 2 seasons to the source material being so important to the development of the plot. I mean, they go frame by frame in some cases now, and what's happening with like the Negan storyline, that's 100% from the comics. And as far as the stuff with Dwight goes, I mean, Dwight is absolutely on Negan's team. We know at this point, and I won't even spoil it now, but we just know why his face has been burned. That's all to do with Negan and that whole story. And we'll get all that later. So I think it is really hard.
I think Derrial has really taken a kind of a back burner kind of role in this part of the season, and I'm wondering, is that because they're setting him up for something crazy, or is that because we're just trying to, you know, Tetris him in?
That's 2 things, because I think one, it is hard to find a place, but the thing that they do so well in this show is that they shift characters over. They'll take one story that we know from the comics, but they'll move a character from the show into that role. So for instance, in tonight's episode, Denise doesn't. If Denise exists in the comic books, she probably does actually, but it's escaped me. But Denise doesn't take the arrow. That's Abraham in the comics that takes the arrow, and he's out walking with Eugene. And you have the same thing: the shot with the arrow through the eye, and the pause, and the word that comes out, and then he falls over. So they like to do that a lot. So if they wanted to, with Derrial, they could move Derrial over, and they could give him a story from the comics. There's enough source material now that's been developed. The real question with Derrial is, I think Daryl's dying. I think that it's still Derrial and Glenn.
And that he's going to get Lucille'd or whatever?
No, Glenn will get Lucille'd.
Oh, okay.
But Derrial, I think Derrial probably dies by the mid-season finale next season.
I think it's coming even at the end of this season. Because
you think both, Glenn and Derrial?
I don't even think Glenn will be this season. I think Derrial will, because it's just the way that's even being set up. I feel like we're losing a lot of who Derrial has been, just episode by episode, and I just feel like it's slowly kind of detaching us from him a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
Yeah, that is, and it's kind of a bummer too, because Derrial he was a fan favorite, but they've spent.
He was always my favorite.
He still is. I mean, people still like him, but yeah, we just haven't really seen. We haven't had a whole lot of these moments that we used to have with Derrial when they were like these like beautiful human kind of self-questioning kind of.
Right,
we haven't had one of those in a long time.
Yeah, definitely. They've done their best to sort of write him out of the focus. We haven't had like Derrial centric episodes in a while.
He's losing his anchor as well within the group, because obviously he and Carol were still really, really close.
Yeah, like besties for life.
And there's no one, and obviously he and Rick, they're still obviously working together, but it's becoming far more of a business relationship rather than necessarily just a friendship and that feel to protect each other.
And I guess the last Derrial-centric episode we got was the one in the burned forest with those two girls and with Dwight. So, yeah, I mean, maybe it is setting up for Derrial to be the one who, as we all have talked about a million times on the prediction section of this with spoilers, gets his head beaten in by a baseball bat. Well, maybe that is going to happen. We have 2 episodes to see it. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
It would be a good way for him to go.
Yeah. I still think it's Glenn. I still think it's Glenn. Let's cover predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Who wants to start?
I'll start. I think that next episode we probably will not see a lot of the main character deaths. I think that I'm gonna go with leading up into the season finale. We're gonna see possibly Derrial die. That's what I think.
And anybody who is following along right now in the live chat, we will share several of your predictions as well. So write them in right now, and we'll share them right at the end of this. Sam?
I think there's something going on with Carl.
With Carl?
Yeah, because he's not been such a large character, and obviously we saw a lot of Carl with Rick previously. They're tending to separate those as characters. Obviously, had a large development earlier in the season, and we saw for the teaser for the next episode, he was doing something. I think there's something going on with him. They're either going to build him up, or I think he could be very soon about to die.
Carl?
I think Carl's going to die.
No, he's number 3 least killable character on the show. He's only behind Rick and Carol, in my opinion.
Okay,
I was wondering, where did you get that list?
Yeah. I was like, in your opinion, this is The Walking Dead. Anything is possible.
Those 3 are untouchable to me. Those are the 3 you can't touch.
But there's been people that we thought were untouchable before, and they have.
I don't know.
I still kind of hope Judith is on that list.
The untouchable list?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think they'll kill Judith. But I
don't think so either.
Judith hasn't ever had a word.
I always think about Judith. Oh. Even when she's not in the episode, I'm always thinking about her. I just want to make sure she's okay.
What do you got?
I suck at predictions for this show, man. I can never think. Every single time I think I know what's going to happen, I couldn't be more off. So I'm going to leave it today. Sorry.
As far as a prediction that is not based on the comic books, I think that Morgan is going to create the problem from the inside that is going to make I think it's going to propel some of the drama in these last 2 episodes. It's going to come from some confrontation with him and Rick.
Do you think Spencer's going to be involved in that?
No, I think Spencer will actually be a problem, but I don't think it's going to be in these next 2 episodes. I think Spencer's going to stay around for a while. I don't think they'd off him yet.
They haven't done enough with him.
There's no payoff yet.
There's no depth.
But they are kind of starting to scratch his surface a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
I think Morgan building the prison's going to be very relevant later, but I think that Morgan and Rick are going to face off. I think that's going to be clear, something's going to happen where it's Morgan needs to do what needs to be done. He's not going to do it, and it's I see that happening before the end of the season.
If that happens, I can't wait. Oh God, I want to see Morgan get what's coming to him.
Bloodlust from Quinn.
He needs to get his dick bitten.
I'm going to read a couple of the statements that people are making on the chat. So Jane Lopez, actually, let's go with Tanya R. She said Glenn's going to get it.
Yep.
And then Carol. Morgan, some people are saying Jane, another person saying Jane will live, or Morgan will live. Let's see here what we got going on. Judith is most consistently going to die. Wow, we got...
Judith is most consistently going to die?
Yeah, that's
How many times is she going to die?
Yeah, I'm like, what does that mean? not the average fangirl. Spencer ain't dying until the late season 7, early season 8. Mm-hmm. So there's, I think a lot of people are still saying,
that makes sense.
Between Morgan, Derrial are the two main people that people are saying on the chat are going to die.
Interesting.
Yeah, Derrial I think makes a lot of sense now, and I think that we also like, and I think there's also like it's either going to be Maggie or Glenn.
I think it's Derrial or Glenn.
I don't think it's going to be Maggie. She's got to have the baby.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
Yeah, Maggie's
so
not gonna
she's not going to.
We had a close call last episode.
Oh, yeah. Somebody's like foreshadowing? I don't think so. Derrial and Glenn, that's going to be my prediction. Guys, that wraps it up for the show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate the live chat, the live audience. Of course, check us out on iTunes, leave ratings, reviews. There's a brand new show that has been launched by the executive producer of this network, Kevin Undergaro, called The Tomorrow Show that you guys should check out. It's on Mondays and Thursdays, thetomorrowshow.com, streaming live from 7 to 9. You have Roxy Stryer, Ashley Daniels, Kevin, Maria Menounos jumps in the booth sometimes. Awesome stuff. It's one man's midlife crisis and his struggle to, it's his midlife crisis. That's what the show's about.
Midlife crisis.
Self-proclaimed. So check that show out, and of course, follow us on Twitter, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.